record. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are just about to begin season 4 of A Rebel Without Applause, which is absolute proof that my career is going nowhere. And my first guest of this year, 2021, they said it was supposed to be a better year. Well, thus far, that hasn't quite panned out, at least in the first 6 days. But I have a very special guest. And in terms of, well, I've been thinking about throwing elections and reversing results. And the gentleman who's with me today won class clown back in 1974 when we graduated from Taft High School together. And I have never gotten over that. Well, let's be honest, it was a theft. It was a total theft. It was completely rigged. And I've lived with that the bile of it has just been struggling inside of me all these years. And finally today, the winner of Class Clown, I'm going to officially concede, in the interest of peace and prosperity and a smooth transference of power, the winner, and I fully recognize that today, Rob Levin is in the house with me today, the winner of Class Clown in 1974. Welcome to the very first episode of, well, you guessed it, A Rebel Without Applause, the video version, courtesy of Zoom of, this podcast. Welcome, brother. How are you?
Good. To be clear, in 1974, when they announced my name, I believe it was you who walked up and tried to steal the award for Class Clown, just to be clear.
And this is a major...
Which funnier than me?
Well, I spent the last, let's see, that was 74. Let's say I'm 65. I don't know, 40 plus years trying to reverse or prove the illegitimacy of that verdict by becoming
and you have. I think the votes were stacked. I had a big ballot thing going, and it was pretty clear that it was an unfair election at the time. I don't even know who voted for it.
You don't know?
I don't know. I take the fifth.
I think there was some manipulation going on, but I'm gonna give it up. Just like,
all right, it's about time.
They had a joint session of the student council that confirmed the electoral votes at the time, and you prevailed. So, I'm getting over it. What can I say? It took a while. So now, I'm not just interviewing you because you're my high school friend, but you're in a certain way a kind of an American hero. You're out there on the edge of a certain, envelope, and I actually have this incredible interview with someone who's participating in a study for the vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now, when you participate in a study, does that mean you have to study and read, or what does that mean?
Actually, you do have to fill out quite a bit of paperwork, just in case, you explode or something. I don't know. Yeah, they do make you sign probably 30 pages of waivers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So are they completely held harmless? Is there any liability for the drug company? You're in the middle of this COVID vaccine trial as a recipient of the Johnson & Johnson shot, right?
Well, if anything happened to you, I think they do cover your medical. If you got sick or had a reaction or some unforeseen event happened, they would pay for your medical.
Okay. Have you had, and when did you get the shot? When did you get it?
December 2nd, actually.
Okay. And this is the Johnson & Johnson double-blind study, and would be, let's see, there's the Pfizer is out there, and the Moderna is out there getting into human bodies. And would the next one in line perhaps be the Johnson & Johnson?
Well, I think you left out AstraZeneca.
Okay.
But Johnson and Johnson had a problem. They had a death.
It wasn't
So,
you, right?
no, it wasn't me, but they did have a death, and they had to figure out if it was caused by the vaccine. So the study got halted, and that's why they're a little behind in terms of getting approval, because they still are, they just halted it, and they hadn't had their test pool completely done yet. But I'm in phase 3, so.
And someone died in a stage 2, right?
I believe that's what happened.
Yeah. And now a double blind, you could have either gotten the placebo, which is some benign saline solution, or you could have the vaccine within. You don't have any clue, right?
I kind of, I want to think that I got it, only because my arm was sore for 4 or 5 days. And if it was saline, would my arm still be sore? Maybe with the saline, my muscle, I don't know. I am fairly muscular, and
right. And the needle, how big was the needle? Was it like big, or like,
hello?
How big was the needle?
It was huge.
Really?
It was the size of Trump's hands.
Okay. Well, you know what they say, big hands, big
needle.
nose. Yeah. So you had a sore arm, and that makes you kind of just, you don't really know, but if.
Well, I've heard some people that are getting the vaccine now from Pfizer have had sore arms.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that,
did maybe the person who gave you the inoculation, like, gave you the shot and then punched you in the shoulder and said, "Good luck"?
They gave it pretty fast. It was really not a big deal. I mean, it hurt when it put in, and then afterwards it kind of went away. And then the next day my arm was sore.
Okay.
So that's what makes me think I might have gotten it, because if it wasn't sore the day of, I mean, right when they gave it, you're a little sore, right. And then within a half hour the soreness goes away, right. And then the next day my arm was sore again. So.
And so your intuition tells you probably got it. And I just, full disclosure, Rob is a medical professional. He's been a dentist for a big career, so he might have some. Have you done any other studies before? Participated in any other vaccine studies?
No.
And what made you do it? Was it something like, was it out of a patriotic impulse, or? I
have a comorbidity with some heart damage. Mm-hmm. So they were looking for those people, and I go, well, shit, I'll do it. You can edit the shit part out of there.
No, the shit's staying in, man. You can't. Once the shit goes in, you can never take it out. This is
okay.
The shit is there forever, and you basically have felt. I mean, it's been what you said, the beginning of December, so you're almost like 5 weeks into this thing with it in your body.
Yes, and I've already gone for my 1 month check. They drew blood again. You have to check in with them every Monday and Thursday and tell them if you have any symptoms. They gave me a oximeter, something to take my temperature with, and I think there's a swab. So if I think I have COVID, I can send in a swab.
Now, since the basic test is to see if indeed you'll be afforded some protection by this vaccine. That's what they want to know. So do they encourage you to maybe take more risks, expose yourself to see if this thing really works? Like, like
I go to a lot of rallies, political rallies.
Yeah.
Unmasked.
There's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah. No, I have actually not. I still do the same things I was doing before. I mean, I take some risks. I go to a yoga class. I play golf with people, but we're outside. The yoga class is inside, and it's actually supposed to be closed, but they're trying to fly below the wire. They limit the class size. You walk in with a mask. So, I mean, in terms of risk, I go shopping. I wear a mask.
Right. See, you're not doing anything because, well, I think I have the vaccine, so I'll probably be okay. Therefore, I'll go to a yoga class.
Because there isn't, if I did get it, I still can. They don't know for sure if you can pass it to somebody else. So it would be irresponsible for me to assume that just because I have the vaccine, I could be exposed, get a low grade infection, knock it out, and still be able to give the infection to somebody else. So that would be a little selfish if I was exposed. Although today I played golf with two guys that actually had COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're finding more and more people out there who are either family members or, people around them have been exposed, have gotten the disease, and have recovered.
So the vaccine, it's basically designed to train your immune system to resist symptoms. If you were indeed infected, you could still breathe in the virus, and it could maybe find a home in your lungs, but it would be incapacitated in terms of its ability to hurt you.
My immune response would be able to target it and knock it out.
Right.
That's what a vaccine does.
Right.
I mean, if you got exposed to polio, you had the polio vaccine, that's how it works. But it's not clear with COVID if you can actually, once you are infected, I mean, what's the lag time on your immune system kicking in? I guess that's,
what I've read a couple of weeks. But
yeah,
go ahead.
But I mean, your immune system would typically, if you're vaccinated, kick in and kill the virus. But could you still spread it? That's the question.
And that's unknown, really.
It's unknown at this point. Yeah.
Right. I mean, in all likelihood, if your body can resist it and defeat it because your immune system is trained, its opportunity for transmission drops way down.
Way down, for sure.
Right. And have you heard anything? And now, what's unique about the Johnson vaccine is that, firstly, it doesn't have to be refrigerated, and secondly, it's only a one dose experience.
And it's actually different than it's different technology, I believe, than the mRNA vaccines.
And how would you characterize that technology in terms of its difference, if you can, or if you understand?
I think it's deactivated virus that they're actually giving you, which actually was a problem with polio at one point. They didn't deactivate it totally and were giving people polio back when the vaccine was being manufactured early on, years ago. I mean, that's a little history.
It's early 50s, Jonas Salk.
Yeah, but they had different manufacturers for that vaccine, and one of the manufacturers, and I don't have the details on it, actually didn't deactivate the virus totally, and were actually giving people polio at one point.
I wonder if that was the same, that was Jonas Salk's, or that was before Jonas Salk introduced the effective polio vaccine.
No, they introduced it, but they also had to produce it. And to produce it, there was, I don't know, again, I don't know the details, but there was a faux pas with the delivery of that, because one of the manufacturers, because they had more than one manufacturer, actually delivered live virus to people.
So here's a question. You're my age, and you're a medical practitioner. The Pfizer or one of the other vaccines that are out there and already approved could become available to you. You're in a double-blind study. You don't know whether, with any certainty, although you believe you have it, if that's offered to you. Okay, Rob, your number's up. You can go get the Pfizer if you want. What do you think you'll do?
Well, they'll unblind me if that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they will tell me if, in fact, I had the vaccine or I didn't have the vaccine. And they're not kicking me out of the study. I go, well, then I'm out of the study, right? And they go, no, because apparently their vaccine targets a different part of the virus and forms different antibodies than, let's say, the Moderna vaccine or the other mRNA vaccines.
So you could at that point say, yeah, I'm gonna. They unblind you. Let's say they unblind you and they say, yeah, you got the vaccine, and we're pretty confident in the study. It looks pretty good. What do you think you'd do then?
I probably just hang in there with the vaccine that I got.
Right. You wouldn't double
Yeah.
your pleasure and go get the Pfizer one just for
Well,
fun.
the other part of that is, I mean, there's certainly a lot of people who need the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already had, if I find out that I've already had it, um, well, let somebody else take my place, I guess, and get the
Right.
vaccine.
And is there any preliminary information that would be advanced to you? Like, well, we're at about a 70% effective rate, or we're at 85, or we're kind of right there. Like, is that some information that you could get to help make a decision for yourself?
I don't know. I mean, I was surprised that they were going to unblind me, to be honest. So I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what their efficacy is at this point, and whether or not I would be privy to that. But apparently, it's supposed to be fairly effective. Again, I don't know that answer.
Well, you got a couple layers of safety there, because first, you're in Orange County, and it's just so much safer in Orange County, because the virus can't get in there into the county. I don't think it even get into Orange County.
Well, there's the orange curtain, and then it's like a mask.
Right. It's a big mask, and it separates. Now, I know there's an orange mask curtain between Orange County and LA County, but I was confused if it extended down to northern San Diego County, like if there's a southern mask for Orange County.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I think you have more density of population, more families and generational families living in, where it's impossible to get away from people. And so that's the problem in LA. We have, you have 6 people in a living situation. I think
Right.
it's more apt to be like downtown LA, and in areas where there's more poverty, you're going to have more transmission of disease in those areas, just because of density.
Right. And people are also in lower income areas compelled to work to survive, and very
Right.
often there's not a lot of people doing telecommuting, or, in some of those situations. Yeah. Well, you think there was a very compelling super spreader event in the national capital today. Yes. And I didn't know if maybe that was it was billed as like a political event to protest the tremendous rigged election, but I thought maybe they all got vaccinated and they were doing like a test. It was like a trial, see if we can get 500 idiots into the Capitol building without masks, we can find out if this vaccine really works. It was really a trial, I think.
Well, there's also, remember I just got some emails today from people I know about another drug that's supposed to be effective against COVID-19. That is to treat worms in dogs. So don't go taking that one. It's Invictin or something like that.
It's not the hydroxychloroquine or whatever that one.
No. It's another one.
It's the same family of Republican medications that keep you safe, I guess.
Well, we have we have some highly sophisticated medical personnel. Mr. Pillow. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, the guy's a genius. I read his term paper. His PhD on the whole thing with the feathers versus the foam. It was a brilliant.
yeah,
Yeah. What's he?
he cut up some foam and make this the best pillow you'll ever sleep on.
Well,
Anyways,
yeah, I was watching the folks in the Capitol, the Trumpsters in the Capitol. And
of course.
yeah, I tell you, I got to say, I love that Viking guy with the horns. Did you see him?
No, I
No,
didn't.
he had fur on his chest, all these tattoos and Viking horns. He looked like he belonged, he's like a Minnesota Viking fan, but he got right up into Pence's, in the presiding officer's seat. I was very impressed with his costume. I'm going to try and nominate him for best costume in a seditious assault on a congressional body. I think he definitely, I was really impressed with his costume and his outfit,
I'm still like just dumbfounded by intelligent people in Orange County are still doubting the election. They still, you have these conversations with people who believe Trump, basically. They don't, they think that some shenanigans went on with the election. So,
well, Orange
we
County,
have them here.
Yeah, well, Orange County's famous. For that, the Orange Curtain. I think, although I don't know about this election cycle, but in 2018, Rohrabacher got, evicted, and there was a little bit of a changing of the guard politically in Orange County. I don't know.
Well, now it's back to Republican, at least in Huntington Beach. Rohrabacher's gone, and then we got another Republican.
Okay.
Yeah. We had Rhoda, or
she got like 2 years and she was out, right?
Yes.
Wow. Jeez. I don't know. When do you think, well, like, you spent your whole career masking from viruses and bacteria as a dentist, looking down people's throats. You don't look at the mask as an infringement on your basic freedom. It's not like a human rights violation for you.
And then there's talk that it decreases your levels of oxygen, and the mask is actually killing you. I mean, I'm not dead yet, and I wore one for 30 years working in private practice. So.
You're not dead, but you do have some comorbidities, right?
There you go.
I mean, I'm just trying to be like, yeah, I mean, I have
devil's advocate there.
Yeah, I mean, I have comorbidities. Like, for example, if I eat chicken and talk, I get hiccups. They're really violent.
Yeah. You probably should get the vaccine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at a certain age with that comorbidity.
That's actually 65, I think, is the cutoff now, and we're 64. So we're in line, but we're not top of the line.
I know. I've never been this old. I've never been this old. This is as old right now as I've ever been. I've never been this old. Now. I mean, but it's as young as I'll ever be. So it's kind of like it works in both ways, man. Both ways. All right. So you got the vaccine.
Yep.
And what's the difference? Why is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine only one shot? And what do they have going on in their vaccine that it doesn't really need? It doesn't have all the refrigeration requirements. What is that?
Well, again, I think it's different technology. It's maybe older technology. It's not using messenger RNA. I believe. I think they're using technology that's fairly proven, deactivated virus. And so that's what I believe the difference is. It should be effective. We have years of service with deactivated virus in terms of being a vaccine. So, but they are, targeting. And the good thing about messenger RNA, if the virus changes rapidly, which we have different variants going on now, like in South Africa variant,
Right.
and the one that came from England. That messenger RNA can be modified fairly easily and fairly quickly.
And it also could probably do yeoman service in parts of the world where, you know, refrigeration and just scheduling the 2 shots would be
Right.
Now,
That,
when you say messenger RNA, RNA is the nucleic acid strand of amino acids, I believe, that's like not DNA, and that's what the viruses carry. That's their sort of
right.
genetic code, I guess, is in
Right.
RNA.
Right.
Wow. So you got the
A long
RNA.
time I was in bio, so I did know that at one time.
Yeah, but you didn't need that for dentistry, right? Because there's no DNA in your teeth or RNA. You know.
There is DNA in your teeth, in your dent, not so much in the enamel.
Right now, didn't you get like a whole? Speaking of DNA, you did a whole like genetic testing, right, on yourself,
Yes.
and you had some surprises, right? You were like Cro-Magnon.
Well, my family came from Russia.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't you kind of know that?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, actually, I did 2 different ones. I did Tribe Code and 23andMe. And Tribe Code, I don't know if they're in business anymore. I think they got crushed by 23andMe. But Tribe Code actually traced it back 200 to 500,000 years ago in Ethiopia. And then migrated up through the Middle East.
You had like photographs of those relatives and stuff.
Yeah, they were probably Cro-Magnon.
Cro-Magnon.
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't have a DNA test, and I know that all my ancestors came from Africa. I totally know that, you know.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like Australopithecus. My grandfather, Max Australopithecus in the Old Divide Gorge, he was apparently he was very cagey guy, you know. So, wow. So we got the virus, we got the genetic strands. We just got to get through this, you know.
Well, I mean, if they could organize more of a federal rollout than what they're doing, I think it would be more effective. There is no have you been contacted about getting, or do you have any idea when you would get the vaccine?
No, the only sort of organizational thing I'm aware of from the federal government is they're using that same system. You know, when they had the big storms in Puerto Rico,
right?
Trump threw out the paper towels at the people.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're using the same system of distribution where he's just throwing out the vaccine vials, just chucking them out there, you know, or like the same, or, you know, I don't know if you ever go to like a Laker game, but they have these pneumatic sort of guns and they put these t-shirts down and they shoot them into the audience, you know. I think that's what they're going to do, you know.
Well, I mean, they are targeting first the health professionals, and the problem is, you know, and then they're going after, you know, certain segments of society. But like, you know, they have cars lined up in Texas. The truth of the matter is, it's really not organized well. And then some of the vaccine, they give like one institution a bunch of vaccine and they don't have enough people coming in to actually get it. And then, you know, there's a chance that they're, because of the requirements for storing it. I mean, actually, if Johnson and Johnson is effective, it's going to be, you know, actually one shot instead of trying to schedule 2 shots. It's hard enough to get one person in, but to get them in twice is going to be pretty difficult. And then you have the anti-vaxxers who, you know, think that Bill Gates is putting a chip in there so that he can track you. There's
Yeah.
all these conspiracy theories out
Now,
there.
my hope is that the vaccine, at some point, I don't know when this will happen, but when the vaccine gets into enough bodies as it rolls out, or the vaccines, when we start to see like a statistical slide of infections, and you can kind of correlate the two, my hope is that maybe it'll start to sell itself, like, look, it's
Right.
working.
Yeah, but then there's people that the anti-vaxxers who, rely on everybody else getting vaccinated, and
Right.
they still. The other population that hasn't really been tested is the under, I think it's 16 years old. They haven't proved efficacy in that age group,
Right.
and they could still spread the disease because they're not getting vaccinated, and they're just starting now to do trials with kids. Now, if you're a parent, are you going to let your kid be tested for a new vaccine? So that's going to be tough to get enough data to.
Yeah, but they do it with flu shots and a whole battery of other, vaccines they've tested for, million segments of the population. You just got to hang out by some of the playgrounds at the junior highs. You know what I mean? I would stay away from the high schools. You just kind of hang out, and softball fields. Hey, you want to, I don't know. I mean, drug dealers have been doing it forever, hanging out by the high schools and the and junior highs to distribute this stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the liability and just from what I had to fill out to get into the study, I got probably 50 pages of explanations that.
Did you read them?
They were explained to me at the time.
Okay. And did you feel like that the people that were administering it were just like hired hands, where they really were invested in it and they understood the technology and they knew how to communicate it to you?
They don't know a lot about the vaccine itself.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I know for sure because I asked them.
Yeah.
But they are good about taking you through their system, and I'm sure they're making tons of money from Johnson and Johnson, or there's a lot of people there. There's blood draws. There's people that interview you first, and then set up your appointments. They actually paid me. I didn't know I was getting paid.
Wow. Big money, right? I mean, like Laker money? What kind of money? What are we talking about? Ballpark me on the dough here.
I think it was $150 for my first visit.
Oh, wow.
Which, I would have done it for free.
Right.
They actually, something went wrong they give you like a credit card, and they couldn't give me one. And I go, that's all right. I came for the vaccine.
Oh, in other words, like, here's a credit card with so much credit on it. Go
right,
have fun.
exactly.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, that's the luck. I'm just pretty much locked down doing this podcast, live cast thing.
You could be a subject for a vaccine.
I got to get some comorbidities going,
You got the chicken and hiccup thing going.
Yeah, that's true. Was that on the list of potential?
I think so.
Yeah, I get the hiccup thing. The chickups, man, they're really bad. You got to be careful. I mean, I've choked on this thing a couple. I mean, even right now, I have water right next to me in case I get the chickups. It's really terrible.
Chickup. That's like a new term.
I know, man. I don't know. The whole challenge for me the biggest challenge for me in the whole viral adventure we've had for the last year is like my private life is non-existent. It's like, how do you meet somebody? It's mask 6 feet distant. I mean, I don't know. It's just, but I'm hopeful this year maybe things will get better.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah.
everybody, we need a better year.
Yeah.
And the fact that well, who knows what's going to happen before the 20th. You know,
Well,
we're
my message today was 3 words: impeach, convict today. Like, what occurred today, if that is not a violation of the Constitution, to obstruct the counting of the Electoral College, which it's specifically prescribed for in the Constitution as a way to select the next American president, to basically send or incite a riot, to obstruct that procedure, seems to be about as self-evident of violating the presidential oath as you can imagine. After all, he's sworn to protect and defend it. To me, tomorrow, out the
right.
door and get Pence in there. At least he'll show up in the inauguration and shake hands. It'll be there to smile. But these 2 weeks could be catastrophic. I mean, we just don't know. This guy's totally unhinged, off the hook, and this is the last act of a very bad play. That's all I can say.
Well, he did come on and go, "We want peace," even though the election was fraudulent.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I think he's going to get the Nobel Prize for that incredible tweet if they give it out.
They actually got him off Twitter. He's not on Twitter anymore.
I know he's like, I'm reminded of the King of Comedy when they tape up Jerry Lewis's mouth. If he can't use social media to blurb, he's basically, there's nothing else he can do. I mean, he's rendered impotent. Yeah. Well,
all right.
All right, man. Well, folks, this has been a very telling and interesting interview. We have a participant in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine study. That's DDS, Dr. Rob Levin of Huntington Beach. And so far, so good. You feel good. You're in the double blind mode, so we don't know for sure, but we're kind of leaning because of the sore arm that you got the the vaccine, and hopefully it's giving you, a lot of protection. Of course, the main protection is you're safely ensconced in Orange County, which, I mean, you might as well be in a viral bunker as opposed to me here in the wood of the holly under the sign overlooking the COVID-addled, but somehow still enchanted land of law. The virus is swirling all around me, but the virus knows not to get its ass down to Orange County. So, in all likelihood,
our emergency rooms and hospitals are filling up down here also.
Oh, really?
So it's no joke. I mean, I know an emergency room doctor at Hoag Hospital who goes, I mean, I don't know how people can compare it to the flu. When the flu was around, people weren't, we weren't filling up the hospitals. I mean, certainly people died from the flu, but this is serious situation where there's no more ICU beds, running out of oxygen. Those things are real, and people need to be careful and take this thing seriously.
I know so many that don't. In my own family, I have an anti-vax family member who thinks this is a large plot by Big Pharma to enslave humanity, and it's been in the making for a long time. And I know others that, especially because I surf, there's a whole crew of in surf culture think it's all a joke and life is perfect. And I mean, I love to surf. I love the ocean, but every interaction I have there, I mean, I get teased because I always wear a mask in the water.
Oh.
Because I have
you should be teased for that. I mean, you're in open air, unless you're. So
I wear it because these schmucks, nobody wears them on land. They just think it's all like the beach is a no virus zone. I don't know how you get that, but I mean, clearly the risks are low in the ocean or out at the beach with the wind and everything. But I don't know. I'm just amazed by
just be careful, which is,
yeah. All right, man. This has been fun, folks. I want a tip of my hat, which I'm not wearing, to Rob Levin, who's out there on the edge of the spear, risking his self for the betterment and benefit of others. He's got that Johnson and Johnson vaccine or the placebo. We're thinking it's the vax. We don't know. I don't know if it's 50-50. In other words, the sample size for the placebo is the same sample size for the people that get the vaccine. I don't know if that's...
That's a good point. I don't know if it's 50-50. Maybe everybody got the vaccine and they have to have a placebo group
Right.
too for a good. So I would expect it to be 50-50, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the bigger the sample size, the more you're going to know, because it all basically comes down to statistics eventually.
Right.
So, well, the main thing is I'm impressed and proud of you for being out there and doing this. And, I mean, the whole class clown thing, I'm going to let it go because you're in the Johnson trial. I mean, I'm not going to, I'm going to recognize my defeat, and because of your courage in this moment, it totally defies anything I could have ever done. So
I think if you understand, phase 3 is fairly safe
right.
for any drug. So I don't feel like, if anything, if I got the vaccine, I benefited.
Oh yeah. Now let's just, for the folks that don't know, phase 1 is, I think, in animals, right? Not humans, right? I think
yes. And then phase 2 is test safety.
For safety.
Right.
And now you're in for efficacy, which is
right.
Which is phase 3. Of course, everything's kind of all going on at the same time too.
Right.
They're still following up on the animals and the mice,
Well, I mean, realistically, they want to follow up for at least 2 or 3 years on me.
Right.
If so they want to see if there's any long-term effects, if I actually ever get COVID at some point down the road. So yeah.
And we're not sure, it's not altogether clear, at least from what I've read, that if this COVID vaccine is really something like a flu shot, which we would necessarily have to get every year.
Do every year, yeah.
But the jury's still out on that. We don't know, right?
Well, the problem is, unless you get everybody in the world vaccinated, there's always a possibility of somebody bringing it into the country, either visiting, from another country that doesn't have an aggressive vaccine program. I mean, ideally, we would be able to knock it out like I think we did with polio. So, but I think actually, I don't know, is polio eradicated totally?
Well, let's put it this way. When I was a kid, and my father was a kid, they lived in fear of polio. You very often see some young person with the leg braces. That's not something I can remember seeing anytime in recent history, but I do think I have a recollection of it maybe as a little person. But my father, Jonas Salk is like a hero. I mean, he's
right.
And the fear about playgrounds and kids and pools in my dad's generation was real, and people were getting it. And I will say this with the virus, I remember when even 6 to 8 months ago or whatever, it was like smoke that you could see on the horizon, but you never really saw the fire. Now, people, you play golf with people. This person got it. My cousin got it. There's my extended stepfather's family. 2 of his extended family died from it. It's like, okay, now I'm seeing the flames. It's close. It's not just something out there.
My brother's daughter got it, and I mean, she got over it. But yeah, and it was fairly mild. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, you're right. You're finding more and more people are getting COVID. Some people mild, some people have it fairly severe. Difficulty breathing, severe headache for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then there's also, some long-term effects with, inflammation of the capillaries. There, there could be some neurological changes. The fact is, and this is in the news today about, one of the first signs is losing your sense of taste and smell, which
Right.
is mediated by the brain. And some of what they're finding is that you're getting some capillary, like many strokes in your brain, which could have, there's people that haven't regained their sense of smell or their sense of taste. So, you don't want to get it.
No, you don't want to
Bottom
get it.
line is, I mean, even if it's mild, you don't want to get it. So,
Yeah.
everybody, please be safe. Wear your mask. It's
Yeah.
not a big deal.
We can get through this, get to the other side, hopefully.
Yeah, let's get through this.
All right, brother. Great chatting with you, man. Happy New Year. I love you to death. You're like one of my favorite people. And I bow down before thee for your act of courage and just
Oh God,
giving people a little insight into, the whole process.
I don't
in
know that
action.
much. I mean, I just went through the process.
Well, I've never met a guinea pig, so it's nice to meet one
There
finally.
you
All right, man. I'll catch you later.
All right.
Yeah. All right. See you, pal. Take care.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Dr. Rob Lev breaking it down vaccine wise and trial wise, and who the hell knows what wise. But either way, he's out there at the point of the spear, and he's doing his part. So this is to kick off episode 1, season 4, Rebel Without Applause, courtesy of Zoom. Till next time, folks. Namaste, shalom, and aloha. By that I mean, well, namaste aloha.